Hey everybody, welcome to the weekly start, sit, and touchdown predictions for wide receiver. We are in the fantasy football playoffs, or for what most of you are, and some of you are just winding down your season and waiting for the playoffs to start next week. But either way, it is crunch time. You have to win the games. What I do for wide receiver, I go game by game, give you start, sit, and touchdown predictions for each player, basically a primary or key player in these matchups. And then also the way I grade these is a start grade is somebody in the top 30 at wide receiver. So you figure you're in a 12-team league, you start a couple running backs, a few receivers, so I go basically from wide receiver down to flex. So if you're in the top 30 or so wide receivers, you get a start grade. Anybody below that might be a fringe start where you can make the argument, and anybody I grade as a sit. If you sit them, that's on you. It's not on me. Let's just go ahead and get rolling here. We have Dallas versus Chicago, Thursday night football. I do think that Amari Cooper gets into the end zone. I think he gets you one touchdown catch. I think Michael Gallup will get you enough yardage to start, and I'm not high on Randall Cobb this week. Also for Chicago, I have Allen Robinson as a start, though not getting into the end zone. And I know what I've seen, Taylor Gabriel, and I've seen certainly Anthony Miller get a few targets as of late. But I don't think that he's going to get in the end zone, so there you go. Next game on the list, we have Baltimore versus Buffalo. I actually don't grade the Baltimore wide receivers very well. I think it's going to be more of a rushing and tight end type game for Baltimore. I do understand, Marquise Brown, he's very talented, but I think Buffalo has an answer for him this week. I don't think he's getting into the end zone. I think he can do better out there in terms of projections, so I have all as a sit. For Buffalo, I do have John Brown as a start and possibly getting into the end zone, and I have Cole Beasley as a fringe start. They're starting to use him a little bit more. It's about time. Working that slot and working Devin Singletary both in between the tackles and out into the backfield to catch flats, catches in the flats. I think Buffalo is going to be good. It's going to be an interesting game. I do think Baltimore is going to win for what that's worth, but it'll be an interesting one. So there you go. John Brown and Cole Beasley for the Buffalo Bills. Carolina versus Atlanta. I do have DJ Moore as a start and getting into the end zone, and I have Curtis Samuel getting enough catches and yards to warrant a start, but not getting into the end zone. For Atlanta, is Julio Jones going to play? I've heard as of the time of this recording, he's practiced, but I don't know. If I'm Atlanta, I'd probably sit him out another week. Why play him? You're a 3-9 team. What's the upside to playing him and winning and going 4-9? Who cares, right? Get that draft position. Let's see what you have with Calvin Ridley and Russell Gage as a duo. But whoever that primary wide receiver is, whether it's Julio Jones or Calvin Ridley, I have as a start in getting into the end zone. I actually have Calvin Ridley getting into the end zone regardless. Now, if Julio doesn't play, I have Russell Gage as a start and getting into the end zone, which is important because I believe to start the week he was only owned in about 4% of leagues. If you need somebody at bottom of flex, it could be Russell Gage, so pay attention there. Next game on the list, Cincinnati versus Cleveland. Look, Andy Dalton changes the complexion of this offense. I have Tyler Boyd graded as a sit, but I'm going to promote him and define my computers and say with Andy Dalton throwing the ball, Tyler Boyd gets a good run, and I think he gets into the end zone. Pay close attention. See if John Ross is activated off the injury reserve this week. If he is, I think he'd be a great waiver pickup. Stash him anyway for the playoffs. We all saw what happened earlier in the season when he played. I think he's going to be very good. Now, John Ross is in there. Now, if he doesn't play, I go back to Auden Tate, and Auden Tate would be a start. So if Ross is activated, start Ross. If he's not, start Auden Tate. For Cleveland, I don't have any wide receiver graded as a definite start. I have Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham as fringe starts, but I think Cleveland's offense is going to continue to improve as we end the season. I'm going to graduate both of those guys to start level. I don't love the touchdown projections for them, but I think they'll get you catches and yards, and I think at least one of those guys, Landry or Odell Beckham, will get a touchdown at some point in this game. Next game on the list, we have Denver versus Houston. Drew Lock throwing the ball for Denver. Is he going to be able to connect with Cortland Sutton? Again, I say yes. I think Sutton gets into the end zone. I don't like Tim Patrick or Deshaun Hamilton for Denver to get in the end zone or be worth a start this week. For Houston, I like DeAndre Hopkins. I like... For some reason, I was going to say Devontae. I apologize. Brain fart there. DeAndre Hopkins, I think, gets into the end zone. Will Fuller, I think, will push and get a lot of yardage, so I like both of them as starts. I do not like Kenny Stills. Detroit versus Minnesota. I like Galladay and I like Jones. Yes, I know they have a young guy making his second start there, but I like both of them to get in the end zone anyway. At least they throw the ball deep with them. Amendola could even be a fringe start just based on, I don't think he'll get a touchdown, but I think he could get you some catches and some yards, but hopefully you can find better out there than Mr. Danny Amendola. For Minnesota, if Adam Thielen plays, he's definitely a start and gets into the end zone. If he doesn't, I worry a little bit. I think Diggs is a play regardless, but if Adam Thielen doesn't get in, I tend to think that touchdown is going to go to Kyle Rudolph instead. But Thielen is a definite play if he's in the game. If not, Diggs is a play regardless, okay? Next game on the list, we have Indianapolis versus Tampa Bay. Is T.Y. Hilton going to be play? He's questionable at this point. The Indianapolis Colts need the win. At this point, it's win or go home mentality for these next 4 games. It's huge. I think he plays. I think he'll get in the end zone this week. And then is Paris Campbell going to play? I don't know. If he plays, I like him as a start. If he doesn't, I like Zach Pascal to start. So it's either Campbell or Pascal. Well, I got to say, Pascal would be a start if either Hilton or Campbell is out. Certainly, if both of them are out, you start him. So there you go. Tampa Bay, I start both Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. I think Godwin gets in the end zone twice. I think Mike Evans gets in the end zone once. And I think Jameis Winston, by the way, throws for like 3 touchdown passes. So there you go. Next game, we have Miami versus the New York Jets. I actually think Miami, Devontae Parker, I don't know why teams aren't just like triple covering him against Miami, but I think he'll do okay this week. I think he could even get in the end zone. Allen Hurns and Albert Wilson, my computers grade them as starts. I'm going to disagree with that. I'm not going to risk my fantasy football playoff position on either of those guys. I don't think you should either. But if you play daily fantasy, this could be nice daily fantasy sleepers for you. For the Jets, keep in mind the Miami Dolphins give up like over 30 points a game. Sam Darnold can get this offense going every now and then. I like Jamison Crowder. I like Robbie Anderson this week. Demaryius Thomas I have as a sit. I do think either Crowder or Anderson will score a touchdown this week, but I don't think both will. So it's going to go, my guess is it's going to be Robbie Anderson. Next game, San Francisco versus New Orleans. I have this graded as a lower scoring game, so I don't love the projections. I have Deebo Samuel as a start, but only on yardage accumulation, no touchdown. Same with Emmanuel Sanders. Fringe start, but start worthy and touchdown potential there. For New Orleans, I have Mike Thomas as a definite start. He gets, even if he doesn't get in the end zone, he'll get you catches and yardage, but I don't have anybody else starting at wide receiver for New Orleans. And let me just say this, New Orleans to win this game, they need Traquan Smith or Ted Ginn to step up. If you believe that the Saints will win, in your heart of hearts you think the Saints will win, pick up Ginn and start him. But I don't see it happening personally, and my computers don't either. Next game on my list is Washington versus Green Bay. Washington, McLaurin creates enough separation that he'll get you scoring opportunities. Can Dwayne Haskins hit him? I don't know. A couple weeks ago, he couldn't. In a win against Detroit, I think he had 3 wide open looks in the end zone, and Haskins couldn't hit him on a single freaking one. But I do think he'll get you enough catches and yards to be worth a start, and he will get you separation in the in the red zone, and that's what you want. For Green Bay, I do like Green Bay's passing game this week. I do think Devontae Adams gets in the end zone. Can somebody else step up for Green Bay? I don't like Valdez-Scantling. I don't like Allison. I've seen enough of them. They have not performed. Alan Lazard, though, I like him. I've been talking about him for a couple of weeks. He showed up last week. I think all this guy needs is an opportunity, and Green Bay needs a second receiver to compete with the creme de la creme in the NFC, in my opinion. If you're going to beat San Francisco or New Orleans in the playoffs, you need a second receiver. And I think that guy is Alan Lazard. However, I do not have Alan Lazard as a start. I'm just saying keep an eye on him this week. Maybe he's start-worthy next week in my book. Next game, the Chargers versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Keenan Allen, to me, is a start and a touchdown candidate. Fringe start for me is Mike Williams. I don't love him. I keep waiting for him to break out, and he hasn't yet. It's week freaking 14. But, if you're desperate, you can play him. For the Jacksonville Jaguars, I do have DJ Chark as a start, and I think that, D.D. Westbrook is a fringe start, but I think it's too risky. Chris Conley and I don't think either one of those gets in the end zone. I do think Chark can do that for Jacksonville this week, though. Next game on the list, we have Kansas City versus New England. Massive game, obviously, for the playoffs. But these guys, because New England's defense is so good, the Kansas City Chiefs have lower projections at the wide receiver position. I think you start Tyreek Hill. I think he can get in the end zone, even while he's going to be drawing tough coverage and Stephon Gilmore most likely. I don't love Sammy Watkins. I don't love any of the other guys in the projections. I think it's too risky with the New England Patriots defense, but Tyreek Hill to me is a definite start. For the Patriots, I like Julian Edelman, but somebody else is stepping up. I think Jacoby Myers might be the second best receiver on this team with respect to like Mohamed Sanu and Philip Dorsett and all these guys. I want to see New England, and I think Patriots fans too, they want to see New England run the ball, and then basically hit people off a play action. And I think that's the direction this team's going to be heading in. It's going to be interesting for me to kind of prove that theory out and watch this game. I will definitely be tuning in. But again, I think Edelman is the only safe start for you at wide receiver this week. Next game on the list, we have Pittsburgh versus Atlanta. Is Juju Smith-Schuster going to play? I don't know. If he does, he's a start. If he doesn't, then he's not a start. I do like James Washington a little bit more. I think he's the more likely to get in the end zone of the trio there, including Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson's a sit. Arizona, Larry Fitzgerald for me is a fringe start. I think Christian Kirk could get you in the end zone this week, so check him out. Next game on the list, we have the Tennessee Titans versus the Oakland Raiders. I do not have any Titans receiver safe enough to play to start. Maybe in daily fantasy you want to rotate in A.J. Brown, but I don't like that matchup. Now, if you're desperate and you need somebody off of waivers and you're really thin out there, A.J. Brown is my favorite of the Titans, projected to score at about a 9. That's, again, fringe worthy, but I don't love it. Corey Davis also not doing so hot in projections at about an 8.8. Now, for Oakland, Terrell Williams, I think he's worth a start just based on volume. I think this team would be a lot better if they still had Hunter Renfrow, who's been ruled out with injury. I don't like any of the receivers. For Oakland to win this game, they need Zay Jones to step up. It's as simple as that, but I do not have anybody else as a start. Seattle versus the L.A. Rams. Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf for me are starts. I think one touchdown will go to one of those guys. Most likely to me, it's going to be Tyler Lockett getting back in the end zone. For the L.A. Rams, I have Brandon Cooks as a sit. I have Robert Woods as a start, and it's 50-50 whether he gets in the end zone, but I do think Cooper Kupp is definitely a start, and I think he definitely gets in the end zone. Lastly, we have the New York Giants. I do have Sterling Shepard as a start. I do have, Golden Tate, if he can play, as a start. I think Shepard gets in the end zone, by the way. Darius Slay is a fringe start for me. He's right on that line. I think he's like number 31 on my list, or maybe 37 or something like that. He's at a 9.99. Usually that cutoff is 10 for me, the way these projections work out. But I do have Darius Slay as a fringe start, but I like Shepard and Tate better. For Philadelphia, I think Alshon Jeffrey definitely gets in the end zone, and I don't like any of the other starters. Nelson Aguilar, for crying out loud, he drops too many passes. I'm not gonna watch on Monday Night Football needing 7 points. Nelson Aguilar fumble a ball out of his hands. Well, I shouldn't say fumble, but basically stone hand his way into a dropped pass in the end zone. I'm just not going to do that. So there you go. That takes me through the wide receiver list here. I do quarterbacks, running backs, and tight ends as well. So check out those videos. Best of luck to everybody as we close our fantasy football season down. Please like, subscribe, comment, and we'll catch you on another episode soon. Thanks, everyone.